Magic hands. Yeah. Can you hear me? Testing.
Okay.
Just checking the room. Is that sound coming through, everybody? No. How about that? Okay. We'll keep this on maximum. Is that okay? Guys, are you hearing me okay? Is the sound okay? At the back, is that sound working? There's always one. Thanks, Ed. Brilliant. Is everybody comfortable and had a comfort break? Brilliant. So we're a bit ahead of time, so that's why we thought we would kick off into this section now. It just means we'll have a coffee break a little bit later, if you grant me your patience, but we'll have a bit of fun in this session now. And, oh yeah, and I'm apparently supposed to stand here. We need an X on the floor. But yeah, so it's been an interesting 2 years, hasn't it? And I love that you're talking about the last 20 years of COVID and lockdown, because it's been quite a challenging time. My personal belief regardless of all the challenges and the crisis, I think what we've seen over the last 2 years has basically sped up a natural evolution of business that we were going to see over the next 10 or 20 years. And I believe we're kind of seeing a style of business that we would have seen anyway, this move onto online. I've been personally quite enjoying the process because my goals on my business was always been to grow a virtual business. One of my favorite things in the world is to travel. And over the years, I always wanted a coaching business where I could actually work from anywhere in the world. So I'd always been working with businesses telephonically initially, then over Skype back in the day. Then we just started using Zoom. And then lockdown hit. So it was an easy transition for me to move on to virtual coaching because I'd always been doing that. I found it was a lot harder for a lot of my clients making that bridge. And I think most of you will find the same. Some of you took to it naturally. Some of you really were resisting the fight to get online. And also for a lot of your teams, right? For a lot of your clients that sometimes wanted to be face-to-face. And a lot of people, especially on the sales side, I find. And that's what I'm seeing personally in coaching. Service delivery, I think I coach better online than I do in the room. The other day, I had a coaching session with somebody and we were working on financials and there were papers all over the show and this is confusing. Why aren't we just on a Zoom call where we can share our screens, work on the same spreadsheet without the clutter, without the fuss? We're so much more focused. So I had to beg that client. I said, please, next time, can we rather go back to Zoom for those sessions? So, and what we're seeing now, and that's what I'm seeing in my business now, is where I'm seeing it more as a hybrid business. Some clients love face-to-face, great. Those clients we work face-to-face. Some clients like virtual, those clients we work virtually. And there's sometimes we need to be together, some not. But I do find a lot of businesses are in that space now. What I've found, and I think everybody in the room will be the same, just out of interest, a show of hands, who is 100% virtual now? One, okay? Who's 100% back in the office, back at the workshop, back at the factory? And who's a hybrid, kind of half-half, sometimes home, sometimes in the office, some people on, some people off. And a lot of the sort of research and authors out there saying this is where the world is going. It's going to be a hybrid option. People are versatile. There's flexi time. There's flexi options. People are cutting their office. Some people are releasing their offices totally and getting their offices working from home, their team. Others are kind of saying, well, let's cut the lease in half. Let's give away half of the factory. Let's give away half of the, well, factory is a bit difficult. But half of the office space, half of whatever, and we do flexi shifts or whatever it might be, sharing workspaces. But it's all about flexibility, and now it's that hybrid. And this is the challenge we're finding a lot, and that's why I've used the title, Building Culture in a Hybrid Workspace. Because what I've found with a lot of the businesses I've been talking to over the last 2 years, a lot of people are saying, I cannot wait to get my team back in the room. As soon as lockdown permissions let us, I'm getting everybody back to the office. Because yes, we're very productive, but culture has gone off the roof. Has everybody found that? It's just so hard to keep the culture of a business. And this is something that we need to find some time to do, because I think over the last year or two, everybody's been in survival mode. And let's just, the people that are in trouble, obviously, is trying to keep everything together and try to keep the business so you live to fight another day. Other businesses I'm working with are thriving and shooting the lights out, but still there, what does a growing business need? Cash, right? We get starved of cash, we get starved of resources. So it's a challenge for everybody, but I think we need to really start getting some of our attention onto the work of culture and building culture, because that's what keeps a team together. So I also want to take you through a couple of basic sort of thinking around culture or values. Some people use the word differently. Some people say what our company's values, what our company's culture. But this is the thing that we need, and it's so much easier to build culture when you're together in the room. Just like today, right? We sit down together, we meet, we have a coffee early on, we'll have a coffee break, we'll chat separately. Over lunch, everybody will sit at different tables and meet different people, you'll network. And then afterwards, hopefully everybody's going to stay for a drink afterwards. And that's kind of a key thing of teams building together. Now, it's no different when you have your staff working together. In the office together, people can have a coffee, we can play games together, we can have a pizza night, what have you. But in a lockdown space, all those things that you can do so easily face-to-face become that much harder online. So it doesn't mean just because it's hard, it doesn't mean we don't do it. It just means we need to find new ways of doing it. It means we need to find more energy to invest in that space. Does that sound okay? So I'll give you some ideas that maybe you could use in your business to help grow culture in your business. So there's a great book by Vern Harnish called Scaling Up. Has anybody read the book? Okay, I'm going to give you the 2-minute cheat sheet on the book, but I'm not saying don't buy the book. It is brilliant. Now, what Vern talks about in the book is about the kind of 4 steps, and there's a whole guide on each of the steps in terms of businesses. What do you need to do to help grow a business, to scale a business? And a lot of the work he does is saying, right, here's a business that's gone from a $1 million business to a $10 million business, and now they get stuck at $10 million, and they can't make that jump to $100 million, or a $100 million business that can't make the jump to a $1 billion business, whatever it might be. And how do we make that next step? And there's a rapid change that you need to do to actually get to each level of scaling. So, and it's a similar way of looking at like our Action Coach 6 steps, where we have our 6-step framework from mastery to niche, to leverage, to team, etc. But basically the idea, the first step we've got to focus on is people, foundation, attracting and retaining the right people. And he talks about stakeholders, and not so remember, not just staff, stakeholders. It's our suppliers, our customers, our team, our directors, our shareholders, all those different stakeholders in the business. Are they all happy? Are they enjoying being a part of the business? Are you enjoying having them part of your business? How many people at the moment are taking any old customer you can get just to keep the wheels turning? But we want to be clear around this. And that's where things like values are so important that we can use that as a guideline to make sure we're attracting the right people are being attracted to us and retaining. Once we've got that stuff right, because it's such a key foundation, then we can look at strategy. Do we have the plan, the goals, well, vision actually falls under the base level of people, but we've got a clear plan, clear strategy. And then as we all know, execution. You can have the best plan in the world, but the plan doesn't implement itself. Who's got to implement the plan? Human beings. And humans are faulty, right? All of us. Raise my hand. So how do we get people to implement that strategy? So execution is another key area. And the pinnacle, which is actually a guiding force through all of it, is cash flows. Struggling businesses are relying on cash. Growing businesses rely on cash. Cash is king, so it's a real key area to focus in each area, in each space. So what I loved in the model here is he uses the word people. Because so often people talk about soft skills. Does anybody follow Start With Why? Simon Sinek. Simon, that's my French name, you know? Simon Sinek. We read the book Start With Why, all about the vision, the value, why you do something being so important. And I don't know if anybody follows Simon. I heard a talk of his just recently, and he was saying how he hates this word soft skills. And we see it a lot in the executive coaching space. A lot of people say, I don't want to do soft skills. That's fluffy. Let's work through hard skills, right? I want to go on a training course. I want a new degree. I want a new diploma. I want a new NQF certificate, whatever it might be. We want hard skills, hard skills, hard skills. And often in business coaching, we find that a lot of our clients are like, no, I don't want to talk about a vision statement. I don't want to talk about values. I want to talk about cash flow management. I want to talk about a marketing strategy. And his argument is soft skills is such a terrible word because a lot of people kind of go, it's fluffy. I don't want to do it. But soft skills is what? In his language, it's people skills. They're not soft skills, they're people skills. That's the word we should be using. Because if we're trying to lead an organization of people, if we've got an organization of stakeholders that we rely on to grow the business, if we don't have the people skills to engage those people, we're dead in the water. So first rule, I think let's stop that word soft skills, people skills. Is that okay? All right. Because it's about leadership. That is your role as business owners. But now there's a distinction, and can anybody tell me the difference between management and leadership? Has anybody got a? Okay, I like that. Any other different, Nelly? Oh, I like that. Leader leads people. So again, people skills, manager manages resources. And the resources might be people, but any other definitions? There's one I heard a while ago. They say management is getting people to do their jobs while you're watching them. Leadership means they're doing their jobs even if you're not there. Okay, but we've got to work on that. It's people skills, right? So passion and responsibility. Now, some of you that have been coaching a while might have had your coach talk to you about this, or you might have heard it a while ago. We use a system that we call the 16 cylinders of high performance. Any car buffs in the room? A typical internal combustion engine usually has how many cylinders? Usually about a 4-cylinder, right? Sometimes a 6-cylinder. There's a couple of cars out there that have a 16-cylinder. Examples? Bugatti Veyron, for instance. They go pretty fast, right? The more cylinders, generally the more power, or the more speed we can get. So how do we think of this inside our business? So the thinking around it, to get your base level of performance, body and mind. This is what we need, right? We need bodies, we need human beings that actually come to work every day. And if we can engage their mind, that's pretty cool as well. So the thinking around it is if we get a human being to come to work every day, he clocks in at 8 o'clock or she clocks out at 5 o'clock, we're getting about 3 cylinders of performance. We've got the people at work doing their job. If we engage their mind, we're going to get another 3 cylinders of performance. In other words, we've recruited the right people, we've done the training, we've got systems and procedures and all that kind of stuff in place that they are actually, the better trained they are, you're going to get about a 6 cylinders of performance, which is pretty cool. You could probably get a car that goes pretty fast. But the thinking around it is if we can engage their hearts and their spirits, what's going to happen? They're going to start doing the job whether you're there or not. They're going to start taking ownership of the business. They're going to start taking responsibility. They're going to say, boss, you go on holiday. I got this. Because they're excited about what it is that you're doing. And the thinking around it is you're going to get a lot more cylinders around each of these areas. Another 5 cylinders of energy, of power, of talk, whatever analogy you want to use, and the spirit as well. And you add those up, suddenly you've got 16 cylinders. You're going to engage the whole person, not just the mind. So what I love with this definition, and I'd learned this. I mean, I went to the action coach training 11, 12 years ago or something. I still had brown hair in those days. And I never really got this concept. But as a client, I was working with a client a couple of years ago, and it just kind of the pennies dropped around us because we were having that discussion around manager versus leader. And I realized that's exactly the definition, isn't it? Your job as a manager is body and mind. Manager, hire the right people, time and motion, they clock in, they clock out. You've got biometrics, the thumb scan or whatever to make sure timesheets, whatever it might be, they're there every day. And mind is make sure there's a training plan, a personal development plan for each person. You've got systems and procedures in place. That's a manager's job. Now, most of the people in the room are natural entrepreneurs. Who enjoys management? I'm putting my hand down. Who enjoys time and motion studies and biometrics and clock cards and did you do your timesheets and, right? Entrepreneurs hate that stuff. Entrepreneurs want to do the vision and the mission and the running out new ideas, new operations, new that. So, but sadly, we have to first do the management stuff before we can get to the leadership stuff. The leadership stuff is fun. Work on your business rather than in your business. So either we got to get really, really good at the management stuff to then get to the leadership stuff, or we got to make sure we've got a good manager in place. And I love some of the stuff I was hearing in the wins. Zeth, you freed yourself up. There's another gentleman saying he's got his 2RC who's taking ownership of the business, all that kind of stuff. How great is that if you can get somebody else doing the management stuff so you can do the leadership stuff? And this is the important thing in both of these. I think a lot of you know the identity iceberg. We're trying to manage people that's above the surface. We only witness what's above the surface. But if we really want to make change, we need to work on the stuff below the surface. Skills, are we training the right people? Beliefs, are we working on beliefs? We all have different beliefs around money, beliefs around our market, beliefs around our customers, beliefs around the markets that are the demographics of our typical target market. We all have different values. We come from different backgrounds, different homes, different psychometric demographics. That's the important thing, that you've got a team of people that might have different personal values. Have we documented our company values? We can say, well, I don't mind how it is in your house when you're under this roof. This is how we behave with one another. And they don't always have to be, very often there's similar values, but just different language to the same concepts. And that's the importance of documenting our company values and taking the time to do this stuff. And not just saying to your, because I find a lot of businesses in the past, and you can tell me if that's happened to you, most companies don't have a vision, mission, values, right? And the only time that it comes up is either when you engage a coach, Or when you build a website and the web designer says, boss, I'm populating this website and there's a section here that says vision. Can you send that to me? And I see so many businesses say, oh, we'll put something in. And the web designer goes and drafts a vision, mission, and values. And the web designer, it's not the web designer's fault. He's saying to the business owner, what are they? He's like, I'm too busy to do that stuff. Just put something in there. And there's this boilerplate stuff. It's got to be authentic. It's got to be unique. We've got to work on that stuff. And importantly, obviously, environment makes such a big difference to culture inside your business. I found this lovely visual, this photograph a while ago. If you go into the basement of any big business, what do you expect to see? Not that, right? Usually expect to see puddles of water and peeling paint and oil and grease stains everywhere and in the basement, whether it's an engineering business or high-rise. This is Google. It's one of their data centers. Talk about environment. When people arrive at a place like that to work, how are they feeling? Energized, charged, successful. You walk in and you know this is a good. So remember, I'm going to talk more about vision in a second and values. But the main point is, and that's why I put that identity iceberg on, is you can do all the other stuff, but the environment, please do not forget the environment. Because you can have a vision statement that says, we are going to be the very best tire fitment company in the country. That could be the vision statement, right? And then your customers or your staff walk in and there's grease stains on the floor and the paint is peeling on the walls and the motivational posters are frayed and sunburnt, where they get all faded and that kind of stuff. And your brain goes through this thing of cognitive dissonance. Right? You've heard of cognitive dissonance? We're saying one thing, but our actions do the opposite. So our environment needs to reflect what we are saying in our vision, mission, and values. And this is an old quote, but I still think it's brilliant. You've heard of this before. Peter Drucker is arguably one of the top speakers and writers on management over the years. Very few people that have come close to him recently, but this lovely saying, culture eats strategy for breakfast. You know, the best strategy in the world, but it's going to fall down without culture. And that's why I put that Vern Harnish slide on earlier. What Vern teaches, as well as he sees, as businesses scale, these $1 million businesses becoming $10 million, 10 to 100, he finds one of the biggest things that stop businesses making that leap is the culture gets lost. And a lot of you, I imagine, have built your businesses from the ground up. And that's a lovely time, right? Where we've had that business that I've been there as well. We started a business at the dining room table and you got your staff around with laptops and your garage is your workshop. And there's usually a core founding team that are fighting in the trenches and are getting on a plane at midnight and flying across the world to close deals and to sort out problems. And you fought these battles together and you get this core team that's built this amazing business. But now you start growing, you start hiring more people. There's new people that weren't part of that amazing operation where we saved the day for that client, when we closed that big deal in Nigeria, when we almost went insolvent, but we managed to save the company. And the new people coming on, they're great people, but they weren't part of that. And there's sometimes this kind of exclusion where they're not allowed to be at the inner circle, or they haven't heard the war stories. They haven't been a part of that stuff. So how do you grow? And what Vern Harnish teaches, that's the importance of documenting your vision, mission, your values. Get it written down, make it become a part of the business. So that as you grow the business, you open more branches, you open in more territories, the values can grow with you. But we've got to take the time to document them. We've got to take the time to make sure they're authentic, to make sure they're real, to make sure they resonate. Otherwise, it's just words up on a brass plaque on the wall, which don't count. Another key one I want to talk about it just quickly because I love it, and a few of my clients will know we've worked on this, and one or two, if you're on the Zoom call, you'll know we've done this a few times. Jack Welch, who's heard of Jack Welch? Arguably one of the best CEOs in the history of business. Ran General Electric for good grief, how many years? And what Jack Welch teaches, and it's a matrix he uses whenever there's a non-performing staff, whenever you're assessing any staff member, there's a matrix you can use. GE often would have a policy where they would actually do a cull every year of 10% of their staff. They would cut away the non-performers, even in good times. Get rid of the non-performers to make space to hire top 18 players. So the matrix basically works like this, and I've often done it in coaching sessions where I've had a client come to me and say, I've got an issue with a certain member of the team. And we often, when we're talking about team, what do? We go right brain, right? Emotional. Oh, they're a nice person. I like them. And we had beers the other day. And oh, their kids are so nice. Their kids play with my kids. And we don't look at the performance. We don't get objective. We make We don't do the left brain stuff, we do the right brain stuff when we're talking about those people. Whereas if we can do a matrix like this, and I've often done this to people, say, right, you're talking about Frank or Jill or Susie or whoever it is on the business. Sorry if there's a Frank or Jill or Susie in the room. So I want to know, I want to put that person, or I want the client to put that person in one of these blocks. And you'll see this axis, and you can draw it if you online there. The north-south axis is values or culture, and the east-west axis is numbers or result. You could use the word results there. So you get the idea is you get the people in this top left-hand quadrant. They deliver the numbers. In other words, if it's a salesperson or a their KPIs, they get the results, they hit their KPIs, and they resonate with their values of the team. And what Jack teaches is you treat them like rock stars. You wrap them in cotton wool, you put them on the bonus scheme, you give them company share options or whatever it is, because they get the results and they demonstrate the values, right? Easy. We know what to do with those guys, but sometimes we neglect those guys because we're so busy working with the others. But then you get people like this where they're good with the values. They got the right people, they got the right energy, they got the attributes, but maybe their results aren't there. So as he puts it here, give them another chance. We mentor them, we nurture them, we coach them, we give them a bit more time to hit the targets, they get additional training because the values are there. So remember, you can't train values, right? You've got to document them so you can use them as a test. But then you've got down here, right? We've got people that don't have the values. But has anybody had this issue where you've got somebody, and very often it's somebody who is getting the results, but does something that's totally non-congruent to the values of your organization? Has anybody had that? And that's very often where I've had a lot of coaching sessions around that. I've had people coming to me going like, oh my gosh, I've got my top salesperson who's bringing in like 50% of the profit of the business. I've caught him stealing or cheating on a profit share, or now what do you do, right? You've had it, Jackson. And what do you, that's a tough one. And his argument is if we have somebody, regardless of their performance, if they're breaking the values of the company, and in particular the laws of the country, or if you're in an industry that's highly regulated, and they're breaking the regulations and risking compliance and penalties and that kind of stuff in your business, his argument, you get rid of them. But not just you get rid of them, it's a public execution on the spot.
Yeah,
because what does it say when you have somebody that's against your values and you're still accepting that in your business? What message does that give to all the rest of your team?
Yeah, I know.
That is acceptable. Oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
I went to the company a while ago. Their storeman was taking backhanders and brown envelopes from one of their suppliers. The whole company knew about it. I'd raised it with a client. The client did not want to know about it. And the rest of the team were just disheartened. They're like, we've taken pay cuts, we've taken all sorts of stuff to try. We working towards the success of this business, and all the hard work we're doing has been thrown out the window by that person. So as a leader, it's your job to stamp that stuff out. So it's a public execution if it's against the values of the organization. And in particular, we sometimes have this where we've got somebody who's not performing, but is also not adhering to the standards or the values of the business. So again, get rid of them, right? They're not getting the results and their values aren't congruent with a company. But here's an important question that you should ask if you have somebody in that point. And this is a question that he will always ask. So how did they get into your company in the first place? Who hired that person? What process did you follow that person actually got in the first place? Why are you letting people that don't have your values into your organization? So we need to look at our recruitment process. Now, obviously, I don't have time to talk about recruitment now. If anybody is working on recruitment and hasn't yet learned the action coach for our recruitment process, please chat to your coach. It's such an important one to help you identify the right people onto the business. Is that okay? But this is a lovely one you can always keep with you. If ever you've got a person that you're not sure of, what do I do with this person? And it's a tough one because you've got to choose one of four. Because often we say, oh, well, he's kind of, we got to put him, he's halfway on how bad did he break the values, for instance. So I hope you can use that as a tool as you assess your team going forward. So, just out of interest, do you like that as a guiding light though? Values are important. Because if you show your hands, please, because otherwise I can't do the next slide. So values are important, right? And we want to hold people accountable to the values. Sorry? Yes. Sorry, I should have qualified that. He says, yes, give them another chance within reason. you got to decide at what point can the company not support their lack of results. Trevor. Anybody got an answer? Actually, Shirley's the perfect person to answer this. Yeah.
Better and say you are not living up to our values, our culture in the following areas. Okay? So we love the work you do, we love what you, the results you get, but this is a problem to us. If we can find a way to work around that, resolve that problem, this is not going to be a long-term game. So that's the answer.
Thanks, Shirley. Tricky one, isn't it? Tricky one. Because it's very often that person that is bringing in huge sales. Or our chief engineer who's got some secret intellectual property that nobody else has. What if can I run my business without that person? So you see the importance of how it ties in with systems, because if we've systematized the business, we can generally afford to lose that person. Yeah. Okay. So if we've identified that this is important, right? But now and Shirley hit it on the head, have we documented those? Because often the values are in one person's mind a certain way and in somebody else's mind a certain way. We all have different backgrounds. We have different home languages. We all understand English differently or French or German, wherever we are based in the world. We need to have it documented because somebody said, well, I didn't really know that was one of a value. And the owner of the business says, yeah, we spoke about it at that conference 4 years ago, remember? That's not a value. That's something we spoke about at a conference. We've got to document it. We've got to have a frame of reference that we can use each and every time to know if people are there. So I'd like to share with you, we've done a lot of this in Action Coach over the years. I mean, Action Coach is a business that's going, correct me, 27 years now? 28 years. We're in 80 countries around the world. We've got about 1,000 offices around the world. How do you grow culture? If you think it's hard enough to do culture in a business that's got 5, 10, 20 people in one branch, how do you protect and grow and nurture culture across 80 countries across the world? And this is the hard work that you guys as business owners have to do, is to do the thinking around this if you haven't yet. A lot of my clients, actually in the online session, hey guys, I know I'm coaching you with it at the moment. Around that space, it's hard to get it right and to push and pull it. So get some help, get your coach to have a look at it, get a copywriter to have a look at this stuff. There are professional wordsmiths, and there's somebody here called wordsmiths. Yes, I love that name. There's professional copy and editing people that can help you with this stuff, but take the time to get it right. I'm the lazy guy, I bought a franchise. All the hard work, vision, mission, values have been documented 27 years ago, and Brad and the team did a great job on it. Now I want to share with you some of the stuff that we use to bring it to life in our organization. Is that okay? And then hopefully it might give some insight on how you can use it in your organization. So we've got our vision. Does anybody know what is our vision statement? Action Coaches. World abundance through business re-education. Pretty cool, eh? That's the impact, that's the dent we want to make on the universe. We have our mission, which is what do we want to do to get there? The people we want to hire, the customers we want to work with, what makes us different, unique, and special, what are our products and services. You got to document that in your mission if you haven't yet. But the values you need to document, which is what is the behavior, the kind of behavior that's acceptable in this organization. What are the standards we hold each other to? So in Action Coach, we don't do things by half. We have got 14 points of culture. 14 values that we hold one another accountable to. And if ever we fall down on it, and maybe that's your point, is nobody's ever perfect. We always, but what is that standard that A, sometimes where it needs to be about a disciplinary hearing or disciplinary process, where there's a major dispute on values, but other times it's what is that standard that we can all grow towards? And that's the way I like to think of it, because there's some that's immediate, especially if it's legal and what have you. Other stuff, sometimes it's like, well, where do I need to get to? Who's the person I need to become that I can stand up and say I'm proud of, that the rest of the team are going to be proud to have me on this team? So 14 points of culture. I've put them, and I recommend, if I know I've tried to write it up, but it's a big room, and for those online on the Zoom session, you won't see it. So grab a pen and paper, because I'm going to do an exercise with this, and you guys are going to actually learn our 14 points of culture, because it's hard to remember 14, right? So just quickly, our 14 points of culture, and please write this down on a piece of paper. Point of culture number 1, commitment. Ownership. Tell me if I'm going too fast or too slow. Commitment, ownership. Number 3 is integrity. Point of culture number 4 is excellence. Annalise or Shane, do you mind checking? Are you finding the rooms quite warm? Or are you guys comfortable? Do you mind checking the aircon? Just drop it a little bit. It seems quite warm. Okay, so point number 4, excellence. Number 5, communication. Number 6, success. Number 7, education. Number 8, teamwork. Number 9, balance. 10 is fun. 11, systems. 12, consistency. 13 is gratitude. And last but not least, abundance, or Inala, if you want to use the Zulu word for it. Thanks, Shirley. Has everybody got those written down? Have a quick read through. I want you to study it. You've got 10 seconds because I'm going to test you on it. Read that list. I want to test everybody's memory. Because come on, we're all adults in business. Will I hear that? Oh no, we'll just shout it out here. Okay, but they'll hear my question. They must talk to you. Not it. Guys, for those online, we're doing a participative exercise. I'm going to ask you the question. You just shout it out to each other. So maybe unmute yourself in the room. I just want to see who can remember this stuff quite quickly. Is that okay? And then I'll show you. So, but no, you're not going to, thank you for pointing out, you're not going to read the list. You're going to flip your page upside down. So please check on each other. Those people online, we're doing it on honesty. Please turn your piece of paper over. All right. So thank you. Thanks, Dave. So I'm going to flip this page over. Has everybody flipped their page over? Everybody flipped their page over? Right. Value number 1, what was it?
Commitment.
Can you read that far? Can you read that far? Well, let's do this. I'll turn it around. Value number 1. I'm going to hide that in a second. You've obviously got very good eyes. Okay. Value number 1. Commitment, right? Number 2? Ownership. Thank you. Number 3? Integrity. Number 4? 4 is? Somebody said it? Excellence. Good. Number 5?
Communication.
Communication. Number 6? Somebody said it here? Success. Number 7? Education. Number 8? Teamwork. Number 9?
Fun.
No, that's number 10. Number 9 is balance. Number 10? 10 is fun. Thank you. Number 11. Number 11? Somebody said it there. Systems. Number 12? Consistency. Number 13? Gratitude. Thank you. Number 14? Abundance. Well done, guys. So as a collective, we've got that right. But you accept the challenge that I'm going to get you all to learn that in the next couple of minutes and that you'll all know it offhand. Because I knew them all. God knows how. I'll show you how. All right. So what we do, and this is a bit of, and maybe for the guys online, you won't be able to see my flip chart, but draw a picture. Now, who knows about neuro-linguistic programming or NLP? So here's a lovely little exercise that can help you with this. So again, get your pens and papers out. And please do not judge me. I'm a business coach. I'm not an artist. But I got here earlier and I tried to draw a couple of pictures. And yeah, online, please draw your pictures there. So number one was commitment, right? We're drawing here a little diamond ring. Commitment, wedding ring, engagement ring, whatever's appropriate for you guys. Don't judge my drawings. Number two was ownership, a pair of eyes. I can see it, what I see, I own. It all falls under my control, ownership, the pair of eyes. Number three is a triangle. Why triangle? For integrity, why a triangle? With engineers, a triangle is the most structurally sound, strong object that, or shape that we have geometrically. A triangle is incredibly strong. So integrity. What was number four? Excellence, right? The parent with the three children, let's pat them all on the head. Well done. Excellence. Just picture. Now remember, NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, is we're using words and pictures to use both sides of your brain to engage things more and remember better. So number four, excellence. We have our children, we pat them on the head. Number five is a waving hand, which is communication. So draw a waving hand, right? Number six, it's a pile of sticks. You pick up sticks and you say, yay, success, I've picked up these sticks. Can you picture that? You got a picture in your mind? Number seven is a tin of 7-Up. You drink education. Drink from the fountain of knowledge. Education is number 7. You got it? Everybody with me so far? We're halfway there. Guys online, sorry I can't hear you, but I hope you're on track. Number 8, please don't judge my illustration. That is an, thank goodness, it's an octopus. Octopus, 8 different tentacles, and how do you juggle all these different tentacles tripping over each other, right? An octopus is about teamwork. 9 is a straight line, which is, we've got a balance on the line, right? A line, 9 is a line, and we've got a balance. 10 is a hen. 10 rhymes with hen, and chickens are fun. Let's have a bit of fun, all right? Oh, think of the chicken dance. You got to have somewhere having fun, right? So 10 is a hen or a chicken. 11, you could think of a fence. You could think of a railway track, you know, these pillars keeping it straight, fence or railway track. And 11 is systems. 11 is systems. 12 is a, thank you, I'm glad people can see my drawings. It's a broken egg. Remember 12, you get a dozen eggs. But consistency, you break that egg open and you lose your consistency. So think of the broken egg, consistency. Got it? They're consistent. When you break them, 12 is the egg. Just you'll get this, watch. We have a black cat or a red cat in this case. Number 13, a black cat is, so you don't see a black cat, you should be grateful. Gratitude. For cats, it's gratitude. And number 14, a heart. What is number 14? Inala means abundance. Okay. So let's quickly look through your notes. So number 1 is a ring, which stands for commitment. Number 2 is a pair of eyes, which stands for. Number 3 is a triangle, which represents integrity. Number 4, excellence. Number 5, number 6, pick up sticks. 7, education. We drink from the fountain of knowledge. 8 is the teamwork, balance, fun, system. Yep. Gratitude. Well, so stand up. Come on. Quick exercise. And if you're online, stand up as well. Try not to look at your notes. This is a quick quiz. Don't worry, we'll have some fun. Okay. How fast can we get the answers? Number 1. Number 2. Oh, yeah, number 1. Let's start again. Start again. Number 1. Good. Number 2. Number 3. Number 4. Number 5. Number 6. Number 7. Number 8. Number 9. Number 10. Number 11. 12. 13. 14. Give yourselves a round of applause. You've learned 40 points of culture. Right. So the first step is to document them, right? The next step is to bring them to life. You might have them documented, but what are you doing with your team? I've had clients over the years that have done a challenge with their team. I remember one of my clients years ago, she had a challenge getting all of her staff, and once she documented this stuff, every week she'd call everybody into her office, and anybody that could recite the vision, mission, and values, she gave them a 500 Rand Woolworths voucher. If they didn't get it right, come back next week. Come back next week. And everybody had to keep coming back till they knew. So what is right for you? We've got to document it first. Sean, if you are hearing me, please play. You can mute on that side. I'm going to share a video now, which is another way of how you can bring this to life inside your business. And I'll just share with you ours, then I'll give you some tools that you can take. It's about a 4-minute video, and then we'll wrap up with a minute or two, and and then we're on to coffee. Is that right? Brilliant. So this has just come out lately. Oh, so I'm going the wrong direction. Here we go, and it should play. Yes.
The Action Coach 14. The Action Coach 14 points of culture I am statements. Commitment. I give myself and everything I commit to 100% until I succeed. I'm committed to the vision, mission, culture, and success of Action Coach, its future and current team, and its clients at all times. I always recommend the products and services of Action Coach prior to going outside the company. Ownership. I'm truly responsible for my actions, the outcome that my actions will bring, and own everything that takes place in my work and my life. I'm accountable for my results, and I know that for things to change, first I must change. Integrity. I always speak the truth. What I promise is what I deliver. I only ever make agreements with myself and others that I'm willing and intend to keep. I communicate potentially broken agreements at the first opportunity, and I clear up all broken agreements immediately. Excellence. Good enough isn't. I always deliver products and services of exceptional quality that add value to all involved for the long term. I look for ways to do more with less and stay on a path of constant, never-ending improvement and innovation. Communication. I speak positively of my fellow team members, my clients, and Action Coach in both public and private. I speak with good purpose using empowering and positive conversation. I never use or listen to sarcasm or gossip. I acknowledge what is being said as true for the speaker at that moment, and I take responsibility for responses to my communication. I greet and farewell people using their name. I always apologize for upsets first and then look for a solution. I only ever discuss concerns in private with the person involved. Success. I focus my thoughts, energy, and attention on the successful outcome of whatever I am doing. I'm willing to win and allow others to win. Play win-win. At all times, I display my inner pride, prosperity, competence, and personal confidence. I'm a successful person. Education. I learn from my mistakes. I consistently learn, grow, and master so that I can help my fellow team members and clients learn, grow, and master too. I'm an educator, and I allow my clients to make their own intelligent decisions about their future, remembering that it is their future. I impart practical and usable knowledge rather than just theory. Teamwork. I'm a team player and a team leader. I do whatever it takes to stay together and achieve team goals. I focus on cooperation and always come to a resolution, not a compromise. I'm flexible in my work and able to change if what I'm doing is not working. I ask for help when I need it, and I'm compassionate to others who ask me. Balance. I have a balanced approach to life, remembering that my spiritual, social, physical, and family aspects are just as important as my financial and intellectual. I complete my work and my most important tasks first, so I can have quality time to myself, with my family, and also to renew. Fun. I view my life as a journey to be enjoyed and appreciated, and I create an atmosphere of fun and happiness so all around me enjoy it as well. Systems. I always look to the system for a solution. If a challenge arises, I use a system correction before I look for a people correction. I use a system solution in my innovation rather than a people solution. I follow the system exactly until a new system is introduced. I suggest system improvements at my first opportunity. Consistency. I am consistent in my actions so my clients and teammates can feel comfortable in dealing with me at all times. I'm disciplined in my work so my results, growth, and success are consistent. Gratitude. I'm a truly grateful person. I say thank you and show appreciation often and in many ways so that all around me know how much I appreciate everything and everyone I have in my life. I celebrate my wins and the wins of my clients and my team. I consistently catch myself and other people doing things right. Abundance. I'm an abundant person. I deserve my abundance and I'm easily able to both give and receive it. I allow abundance in all areas of my life by respecting my own self-worth and that of all others. I'm rewarded to the level that I create abundance for others, and I accept that abundance only shows up in my life to the level at which I show up.
Read different things into the words. This video was just released recently. The narrator was actually Brad Sugars, who set up and founded and still runs Action Coach. So you can imagine for him, trying to maintain culture in an organization with 1,000 coaches, which would probably be, once you count in the full teams, that's 3,000-4,000 team members strong around the world. So the idea on this is we don't have to, some people read, some don't. You can push play. It's these lovely affirmations, and you can see the wording on it. I am. It's not we are, you are, I am. And when you read it or listen to it, it's reminding yourself of the kind of behavior that we expect of one another inside the organization. So have some fun with this kind of stuff. Use video, create a YouTube channel for your team that you can share this kind of stuff. And you personally, even if you're not in the same room as your team, you can talk them through it. Their manager in that branch and that operation can be push and play, and they can hear directly from the CEO, even if the CEO is not able to travel to that branch, to that country, to that territory. So that's one thing you can do. And then lastly, just to quickly wrap up, I know we've got something we're on time, or 2 minutes. What are the rituals that you can use inside your business? So the NLP exercise story, I didn't have you dancing as a chicken or anything like that to remember. And chicken is number what? Number 10, right? Because hens are fun. What are the rituals? You see, we in Action Coach, we use the word rituals, not rituals. What are the things that you can do? Now, all of you, I imagine, have different rituals in your team already. Some of you might have an action cricket team. Some of you might do Friday afternoon beers. One of my clients in Maritzburg, what they did years ago, and I think they still do it to my knowledge, is every Monday, they would get in a fitness trainer that would come with kettlebells, and every Monday afternoon, the team together would do kettlebell training because they worked all around Africa. They were always on airplanes. They only saw each other on Mondays. So do meetings and strategy and stuff, but they'd also sweat and do some kettlebell training at 3 o'clock every afternoon. What are those rituals that you can, it might be donuts, it might be the birthday cake, whatever. Those are the things we need to document, systematize to make sure they happen again and again and again. They're not one-offs. That's when they can become part of the fabric of your business. The people may change, but the team sticks together. Anybody who work with an action coach, you'll know this. This is an action coach ritual. We work on the point of power. At any moment in time, you're above or below that point. You either are or you aren't. You can't pretend to be kind of halfway on that line. So we use it. Anybody working with a coach, you'll know this well, and we have it as a rule in coaching, and I hope you've taught this to your team. This is a great one that if somebody can't remember, like, oh, what was point of culture number 3, or which one was number 12, you know for sure if you're playing above or below the point of power. So this is a great one that you can teach with your team, that in the absence of anything else, are we above or below this point? That's a great one you could bring into your teams. Are we playing the victim, or are we taking ownership and driving our results? Show of hands, who knows what a whiffle is? Okay, well, by the end of today, you will all know what a whiffle is. We'll do that later. When you kick off a team meeting, do you go straight to business, or does everybody quickly share what's happening in their life? What's good, what's bad? What emotions are you experiencing? Are we getting to know each other outside of the office? If you aren't yet practicing whiffles in your organization, speak to your coach, learn how to do it, and see what happens as you change this stuff. There's some lovely resources online, hybrid businesses at the moment. I found a great website the other day. I'll leave this up in the break. If you scan that QR code, it'll take you to the website. There's a whole bunch, the numbers there, 28 different online games you can play with your team. There's games you can play with your family even. If you're in virtual meetings and you're in lockdown or in different countries, what are those things that you can do together to have a lot of fun? And there's lots of websites like that to build that community. One of my clients on the call, Karine, you won't mind me sharing, she got a team across Africa. They get together and have picnics in their gardens, and she gets everybody to bring their Zoom, and they put a picnic blanket in their gardens across the continent. They'll do cooking evenings. in the evening where somebody takes a turn teaching a different dish and everybody puts the Zoom camera on in their kitchen and they do online cookery together. There's so many things that you can do to harness culture and build that into. Zeth, you got to share. There's always something at this time. All right. So I know we, Shirley or Annalise, please guide us. I was going to give everybody a couple of minutes just to kind of share learnings at the table, or do you want to break everybody for coffee and they can, because I just want to know from each person 3 things that either is working for you that you can share with the people at the table, or 3 things that you think you can do going forward out of today to build those rituals, to build that culture inside your business. What would you like to do in terms of our timing, Shirley? We're not hearing that. Are you guys okay for 3 minutes and then we break for coffee? Okay, while it's fresh, so take a couple of minutes. And then once you're done, just raise your hand and we'll give you permission. Nobody's allowed to leave until you finish the exercise. But just share with one another, what can you do to grow culture? So yours is a business that can scale